Dean and Tyler Listle are registered investment advisor representatives. Investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, and Secure Retirement Solutions, LLC are not affiliated companies.
It's time for Secure Retirement Solutions with your hosts, Dean and Tyler Listle, fully licensed retirement specialists from Secure Retirement Solutions in Green Bay. Now, here are your hosts, Dean and Tyler.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Tyler and I will discuss topics that affect your retirement, such as investments, income planning, Social Security, and much more. Good morning, Ty. How are you?
Good morning, Dean. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Today we're going to talk about things you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably. Okay, so we talk a lot about things you should do. We're going to talk about some of those things you should not do if you would like to retire comfortably. The number one thing we're going to talk about, and it's one you've heard us talk about before, and that is don't wait too long to start. We've asked a number of retirees in our office, once we got to know them, they become clients, if there's one mistake that you made in retirement planning, what would it be? And most of the time, you're going to hear from these retirees that they started too late. And they can still do something about it in the fact that they can go to their children and grandchildren and get them started earlier and let them know because of their mistakes how it hindered them with their retirement income. So really the number one thing you don't want to do if you'd like to retire comfortably is waiting too long to start. Part of the reason is most investments are based on time, okay? Time and accumulation, and they go hand in hand. Compounding interest along with time is a very good thing. And that's why you hear a lot of financial people, preach the fact that you would like to start early. The earlier, the better. However, we will say it's still never too late to start. We have some people that we've met with really didn't get a start at all on their investing until they were in their 50s, but yet they made up for a lot of lost time. Of course, they would be significantly better off had they started investing less money for a longer period of time, though. So, Tyler, what else should we talk about when we're talking about, waiting too long to start your investments?
Yeah, Dean, so this is number one when it comes to things you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but at the same time, it's number one because it's very important. And we unfortunately do see many people who wait until it's too late, and then they're playing catch-up at a time in their life when you don't necessarily want to do that. When you're in your 50s or 60s, that's when you want to plan for retirement and hope that you've saved enough. But really what it is compound interest over time is what's key to building your retirement nest egg. And I've got an example here where, for example, if you have a goal of saving, I'm just going to throw a number out there, $750,000. If you have a goal of saving $750,000 by age 65, then if you start saving at age 30, you'll need to save about $450 per month to reach that goal of $750,000 at 65, assuming a 7% annual rate of return per year. Now, 7% is right around a moderate portfolio, so that's something that can be achievable if you have different stock positions and bond positions. But again, if you're 30 and you save about $450 per month at a 7% annual rate of return, you'll reach that $750,000 by 65 years old. However, if you wait until 50, so instead of age 30, if you wait until 50 to begin saving, you'll have to put away $2,500, so $2,500 per month, with all other factors being the same. So that just shows waiting 20 years later, you have to put away that much more just by waiting and not starting earlier. So that example right there shows the importance of starting early and often. That way, if you do start early, that compound interest over time is what's going to be the most important thing. But keep in mind, too, that while it's never too late to start saving, it's also never too early, and the earlier you start, the better off positioned you'll be over the long run. Now, when it comes to saving and putting money away, I know that we talk about this a lot on the show, but it's recommended to work your way up to 15% of your income or your salary in different retirement accounts, because many people, they say, I hear that we have to start saving early and often, but they don't know what to put their money into. So again, 15% in different retirement accounts, starting first off with your 401k if it has a match, because that's free money. So if your 401k matches up to 3, 4, 5, 6%, then whatever it matches first off, go into there because that's, again, free money. Then outside of there, go into a Roth IRA, or if your employer offers a Roth 401k, go straight into that. And again, the Roth is what you put your money into after tax dollars. Then anything you put into it plus all the growth grows tax-free. So that way in retirement down the line, you have time and compound interest on your side, but yet that grows all those years and you can take that completely tax-free if it's within the Roth account. So work your way up to 15% in matching 401ks and Roth accounts. And then another thing to keep in mind when it comes to starting early and often with putting your money away in retirement accounts is that you can contribute up to $19,000 per year in your 401k. So that's a big chunk, and that's if you're under 50. If you're 50 years old or older, then up to $25,000 per year is what you can contribute to your 401k, your 403b, different types of workplace retirement plans. So the IRS allows for pretty big contribution limits, and the earlier you can start contributing, the better it's going to be because, again, you're going to have that time and compound interest, which will really help over the long term to build up that retirement nest egg.
Okay, another thing that you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably is don't play it too safe with your money. And what we have to take that into consideration when you're getting closer to retirement. You've accumulated as much money as you possibly can in your working years, so you do have to look at the prospect of being safer with some of your money at that point because you're going to need to pay yourself out in the form of income in retirement. But during your accumulation years, those years in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s, you still want to be able to make money based on compounding interest. An example here is, the Great Recession that people refer to in 2008. It was actually more than a recession. It was an economic collapse. But if we look at the Great Recession of 2008, we heard stories of people who unfortunately started selling off the money in their 401ks or their investments towards the bottom. Emotion came into play. It's human nature. You just don't want to lose anymore. You think that it's going to go to zero. So people started selling off pretty aggressively when they took significant losses. And then that's mistake number one. And mistake number two was the fact that then they were very slow to buy back into the market because they were still worried that it was going to be a prolonged bear market further than 2009. As a matter of fact, we've already seen statements that people still had their money in their 401k and money market since 2008. So, they missed one of the biggest bull markets in the history of the United States. I mean, that is the market from 2009 through 2017, 18, even into 19 right now. We're at all-time highs. There's a lot of volatility in the market, but we're still at all-time highs. So we don't want to see people in their 40s and 50s being locked down with fixed rate investments. We don't want to see them with fixed rate retirement plans, significant CD positions. There's nothing wrong with getting CD rates on some money that you set aside that is going to be used for a fixed rate investment, a fixed rate expense. Fixed rate investment for a fixed rate expense is fine. But again, to have your whole retirement plan in fixed rate retirement plans or CDs, you're going to find that inflation is just going to eat away at that growth in just a handful of years. So we would like to see you be a little bit more aggressive in those accumulation years, take advantage of market growth, get some good advice from an advisor, look at stock positions, mutual fund positions, ETF positions, be active in finding out which sectors are growing, talk to your advisor and find out if there are any other ways that you can be growing the portfolio other than when you come and meet with them on an annual basis and they just say, hey, everything is going well. Well, ask questions that are specific to which sectors are growing. Tyler, what else should we talk about with playing it too safe as an example of how you can sabotage your retirement?
Yep, this is one where not as many people think of this playing it too safe with your investments when it comes to different retirement mistakes that you shouldn't do. But if you're saving for retirement, then the number one thing that you want to do is over time, you want to grow your money. You want growth potential as your number one objective, as your number one goal. And we see many people fall into the trap of actually becoming too conservative with their investments when they have a long-term time horizon. And many people, they have their retirement accounts invested in different money market positions, CDs, savings, different things like that. And according to Morning Consult, an investment research firm, 53% of workers say that they're stashing at least some of their retirement money in a savings account. And that's probably better suited in the market, especially if you're younger. Not for all people, but for a majority of people who are especially in their 20s, 30s, even 40s, and they have a long-term time horizon. You're probably going to get more out of that money if you were to invest it a little bit more aggressively for the long term. And again, that's especially for people who are younger. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, some people even in their 50s, if you plan on working another 15 to 20 years or so, you're probably going to be better off in the market investing a little bit more aggressively, just because that is how you're going to maximize your growth potential over the long term. But keep in mind then, as you get closer and closer to retiring, then you scale back some of that risk and you go more conservative, because you're not going to have that time horizon on your side anymore. And when you retire, instead of putting money away, contributing to your accounts like you have all throughout your working years, you're doing the exact opposite, and you're taking money out to live off of. So you can't afford to be as aggressive anymore at that time. But at the same time, if you are older, if you're retired or heading into retirement, you still need to watch out for playing it too safe with your investments, because, for example, right now people might have different CDs or money market accounts, savings accounts, that a lot of savings accounts, you're making less than 1%. Even some of the high rate savings accounts or CDs that might make 2 or 3% per year. Well, if you're withdrawing 4, 5, or 6% per year from your portfolio, and you have everything in different fixed rate investments averaging anywhere from 1 to 3% per year, well, then eventually you're going to draw that down and potentially risk running out of money, because your the interest that you're making, is being eaten up by inflation, and you can't replenish your withdrawal. So over time, you could risk running out of money if you don't manage that well. And that's something that not too many people keep in mind. So another mistake here is playing it too safe with your investments. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a balance, some that are used for growth, some that are used for income, and some that are used for safety.
Okay, before we continue, we're going to take a quick break.
You're listening to Dean and Tyler Listle, investment advisors with Secure Retirement Solutions, located on Allied Street in Green Bay. For a complimentary review of your current investments, or if you have questions, please call them at 920-347-9888 or go to their website at srsplans.com.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about things that you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably. The third one we're going to talk about is don't expect to rely too much on Social Security. This is one that we talk about too. In the past, there's the three-legged stool that financial planners refer to. That's a metaphor that refers to the three legs of the stool that you'd like to retire from. You want to use the first leg of the stool, which is going to be your Social Security benefit. Second leg is a pension. Third is your own personal investments in the form of 401k or an IRA. Well, if Social Security is the first leg of that three-legged stool, unfortunately, it's going to become quite wobbly, because Social Security is in peril if something isn't done to, replenish the trust fund. Basically, we have, fewer workers contributing to Social Security than we have those people getting benefits. So if we look at Social Security and just rely on that is the major source of income in retirement, unfortunately, we're setting ourselves up for, a pretty uncomfortable retirement. So early on, accept the fact that you might not have Social Security. If you're in your 20s, maybe even your 30s, if you have the mindset that you're not going to have some of these benefits that are out there, we hope that they're going to be there for you. But if you have the mindset that you have to take care of yourself, you're going to look at putting away 15% much easier than for those people who think they're going to fall back and rely on Social Security and Medicare and a number of other programs that are out there that unfortunately are in financial despair. So, let's not rely on Social Security as much as most people do. elderly people. We see a lot of people who have Social Security exclusively. Not a good place to be at this point. Going back to, the first situation we talked about, and that is, starting too late. Look at reducing some of your expenses. Look at taking the difference in what you paid in your expenses, pay that off as quickly as possible, but still take that money that you used to pay those expenses. Instead, use that for now savings or investments. So, Tyler, what else do we see here when it comes to relying too much on Social Security?
Yeah, now, when it comes to people relying too much on Social Security, we do see that, and there are different retirees out there who their only source of income in retirement is Social Security, and they can make it work, but it's definitely not ideal. And Social Security, it is the number one source of retirement income for American retirees, but it was only intended to replace about 40% of your pre-retirement income. So you can't expect it to cover the majority of your expenses when you retire if it's only designed to replace about 40% of your income. That means that 60% of your pre-retirement income has got to come from other places. That's where your savings, your 401k, your Roth IRA, that's where that would come into play. And hopefully you've done a good enough job saving over your working years to have that accessible where you can replace that other 60% of your pre-retirement income in addition to Social Security. Now, like you had mentioned, Dean, with the current state of Social Security benefits, who knows, they could be cut in the future. They could be cut and then eventually potentially not even be there once if the Social Security Trust Fund runs dry. So that makes it even riskier to base your plan around Social Security. And for a lot of our younger clients, what we do and what they want to see is they want to see their financial plan without even factoring in Social Security. And then if it's there, perfect, it's a cherry on top. But that's what I tell a lot of our young clients. Who knows what's going to happen? It very well likely could still be there. Maybe the age that people can file at just gets bumped back. There's a lot of things that could happen depending on what Congress puts in place to extend it. And I think it will be extended. But it's probably not a smart idea to solely rely on that, especially if you're younger and want to go through the retirement planning process. You probably don't even want to factor that in. Now, right now, the average Social Security benefit at your full retirement age is about $1,471 per month. So just under $1,500 per month. And that's, in today's day and age, that's pretty hard to make ends meet with that being your primary source of income. It would sure help to have additional income outside of that. And to avoid having to rely solely on Social Security as income when you retire, again, we recommend that you save early and often and work your way up to that 15% of your salary or your income invested within good retirement accounts. So that's where, again, you want to work your way up to 15% of your salary going into a 401k, a Roth 401k, a Roth IRA, and then within there, especially when you're younger, you want to choose different growth positions, stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, different positions that will allow you growth potential over the long term. But again, focus on your 401k up to the match and then go outside to a Roth IRA, max that out, then come back and contribute to the 401k again. Or if you have a Roth portion within your 401k, the Roth 401k, they allow you to contribute up to $19,000 if you're under 50, and 50 or older, they allow you to contribute $25,000 into the Roth tax-free portion. So definitely take advantage of that. By taking advantage of that early and often contributing to your own retirement accounts, that will help you out so that way you don't have to expect to rely too much on Social Security when you do retire.
Okay, good points, Tyler. Now, another thing you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably, we're moving along here quickly, and that is not planning for taxes in retirement. That's a big one, not planning at all for taxes. We see this a lot when people will talk about withdrawing from their investment accounts. They might have a Roth account and an individual account, some cash positions, and then they have a 401k rollover and some of the others. And when we meet with them, they might be retired and already withdrawing from their accounts. And we'll ask, can we see which accounts you're withdrawing from so we can give you some sort of an analysis or a recommendation. And we'll see some people drawing from their non-qualified or their Roth, and it really didn't matter based on the tax status. They look at it and say, well, this account hadn't been doing that well, so I'm withdrawing from that one first. which is, most times the wrong thing to do. You want to look at it from a tax standpoint. So if a Roth account isn't doing well, first of all, go in and make some changes. That's the first thing you should do. Don't accept the fact that it's significantly underperforming the benchmark or the market. There might be something wrong there. If the whole market is stressed, of course, the account is going to be stressed also. But if the account isn't doing well, to withdraw from that account, and if it is a tax-free account, is probably the wrong thing to do in your early parts of retirement, unless, of course, you are trying to keep your reportable income down based on the fact that you want to get cheaper premiums through the Affordable Care Act. That's one reason for drawing down on a Roth or non-qualified early in your retirement. But as far as taxes are concerned, typically you are best served to take from your accounts that you're going to have to pay taxes on when you withdraw early on in your retirement for a couple of reasons. First of all, by paying the taxes early on in your retirement, if you can stay below a certain income limit, you might not have to pay taxes at all. That's number one. Number two, if you bring those accounts down a little bit, you'll probably pay less in taxes once you're required to start withdrawing, which is at 70.5, called your required minimum distributions. Okay, so there's a couple of reasons for bringing that down. And really number three would be the fact that, taxes are on sale right now. Due to the tax reform law, you're seeing a savings on your taxes. So, taking money from accounts in retirement that you're paying taxes on might not be the worst thing, provided you get some advice from a tax advisor. Tyler and I are not CPAs. However, here in our office, we have tax advisors. Before we start the withdrawal process, we make sure that they're involved with meeting with our clients to determine where we withdraw the money from in the most tax efficient way.
Yeah, good points there, Dean. When it comes to, again, things you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably, not planning for taxes in retirement is one of the biggest ones that we see. And retirees, they should be aware of how taxes can impact and potentially drastically reduce their retirement savings. For example, a retired couple, and we see plenty of these who might be receiving Social Security and they might have a small pension. You could be in a low enough tax bracket where you could potentially withdraw a portion of your 401k or your traditional IRA, which is a taxable account, and that way you could do that and you might not have to pay any taxes on that depending on your overall income. And a lot of that is due to how Social Security income is taxed, and not many people know that. And that's really the ideal situation, because you've never paid taxes on that account, and you pay taxes when you take the money out, or it's recorded on your tax return. But not everyone has to pay taxes on it depending on your overall income. So what we do is we sit down with a lot of our clients, and we might do a mock tax return for them where they can see exactly how much they can pull out from their IRA, which they would otherwise have to pay taxes on, and potentially not be taxed on it based on their overall income. And what not too many people know is that your Social Security could potentially be taxed depending on your overall income. And in 2019, if you're single and your combined income was $25,000 to $34,000, you'll pay taxes on up to 50% of your Social Security benefit. And if your combined income was more than $34,000 as a single tax filer this year, you'll pay taxes on up to 85% of your benefit. Now, if you're married filing jointly and your combined income was between $32,000 and $44,000, you'll pay taxes on up to 50% of your benefits. And if your combined income was more than $44,000, if you're married filing jointly, then you'll pay taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. So, again, that's something that not too many people keep in mind or know, but it's very important where if you take a withdrawal from a retirement account, you definitely want to plan for what the taxes are going to be, because it could bump your Social Security into a taxable category, and you could end up owing in a lot more taxes than you otherwise would have on prior years before you took that withdrawal, because of that bumping your Social Security into the taxable category. Another thing when it comes to planning for taxes in retirement is right now, like you had mentioned, Dean, under the new tax reform law, it might be the time to convert your IRA to a Roth IRA through the Roth conversion process with the reduced tax rates. Again, with the tax reform law, tax rates have been reduced, and now would be the time to pay taxes up front, convert it to a Roth, and then let it grow tax-free here on out. So that's another thing that many people are looking at right now would be Roth conversions. But what you want to do is you want to keep your or pay attention to taxes in retirement, because not planning for taxes in retirement is something that many people do, and unfortunately it can really throw them off track.
Okay. The last one we're going to talk about, the last thing you shouldn't do if you want to retire comfortably, and that's go without a financial plan. Here at Secure Retirement Solutions, Tyler and I and the other advisors in the office, we will put together a financial plan complimentary to anybody who comes in the front door. And part of the reason is we want to find out where you're sitting before we can make any recommendations anyhow. That financial plan takes the burden off of you of the guesswork of how much money you should withdraw on a monthly or an annual basis. It also helps you target which expenses you should take care of first. Many times people will come in and say, okay, should I pay off the mortgage or should I contribute to my investment accounts? Well, let's find out. We plug the numbers into the financial plan and we get some guidance there. So ask your financial advisor if they would put together a financial plan for you. Most of them do them complimentary. If they don't, go online. You can plug in your own information. There are plenty of places you can find online that you can create a basic financial plan. It's nothing more than putting your expenses in and putting your investments in, looking at rates of return, how long before you plan on retiring, Social Security, and so on. So put together a financial plan. We found out that a significantly larger number of our clients who have had financial plans in place have done significantly better in retirement as far as knowing how much to withdraw and what to expect out of their money. Many times we talk to people who do not have financial plans and they are all over the place. They have done the hard work many times. They have accumulated the money, but they just don't know from which accounts they should be withdrawing from first, which debt they should take care of first. Is it the higher interest rate or the one that has the lower accumulation value? So really, we tend to believe that anybody that's planning for retirement in your 50s and through retirement, get a financial plan done. It gives you some direction.
Yeah, good points there, Dean. Just the last few things that I want to add before we close out the show here is, again, definitely don't go without a financial plan because it can lay out your long-term goals, and that's something that many people are going to want to see because you need to know what you need to do to get there. So if you want to accumulate a certain amount of money by a certain age, or if you want to retire at a certain age, what a financial plan will do is it will tell you what to do. It's a roadmap. It tells you what to do right now in order to get where you need to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years from now. So again, definitely don't go without a financial plan. Sit down, get one made for you. Again, like you said, Dean, we do that for a complimentary financial plan for all of our clients, so that way it gives them a roadmap for where they want to be in the future for their long-term goals.
Okay, that's all the time we have this week. See you later, and hope you'll join us again next week.
We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secure Retirement Solutions with your hosts, Dean and Tyler Listle, fully licensed retirement specialists from Secure Retirement Solutions in Green Bay. To get more information from Dean and Tyler, contact them at Secure Retirement Solutions on Allied Street in Green Bay. Call 920-347-9888 or visit them at srsplans.com. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services is not an affiliated company.